welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back with some more Everon this evening, which I am super excited about. But before we head round and say hello to all these lovely, lovely people here, please check out the links coming up in chat now. That includes the Discord. There is a channel purely for this wonderful Eberron game, and if you want to head over there, let us know what you think. If you have any theories, because there is an element of mystery to this game. Yes, also everyone, I will say, has an advantage carried over from last week, so please feel free to use them. Also, check out our YouTube. If you miss out on anything, you can head over there, and all of our games are put into playlists so that you can watch them and catch up. Also, if you want to get into a viewer game like this, come play Eberron with us. Drop Scrat a DM on Twitter. So head over there and do that. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Hero Forge. Hero Forge does some seriously amazing minis, and we are doing some more stuff with them coming very soon, which I'm very excited about. So please go check them out. Also, Mage Hand Press. You will have seen Mage Hand Press's Feyfolio just before this, and I have previously run their Dark Matter. Dark Matter, if you love D&D and you love space, you smush them together, and that's what you get. It's a wonderful thing. And last but certainly not least, also the Deck of Many. The Deck of Many Things, the moving magic spell cards, which are a donation in this where you can affect the game and tweak what is going on with these cards. They also the creators of Humblewood, one of our other viewer games, which is very, very wholesome. So please head over there and check that out as well. Otherwise, we will start as heading around and saying hello to everyone, as we always do. We'll start with the very lovely Hans. Oh, hi.
Hello. Apparently I have all my mic stuff set up properly today, so that's nice. I'm here to play some Eberron, and this is really the best place to do that. I can't think of any better place to play Eberron than on the channel of the well. We are playing the Eberron game. I'm rambling. That's really what I do best. I'm playing Basil Velderan. He is a half-orc. He's a sorcerer. It's going to be amazing fun. I'm really looking forward to playing with him.
Yes, I love him already. And then we are going to hop down and say hello to our character playing Lons. Oh, hi.
Hi, I am Douglas. Really great to be here. First time I am playing Lons. He is a human cleric, and let's see what happens.
Wonderful. Then we are going to hop around and say hello to the lovely Joanna. Oh, hi.
Hello, folks. I'm Velvet. Super excited to be here my second time on the Scratticus Academy. I'm playing Joanna Joltaire, Jojo to her friends, if they had any, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Super excited to be here.
Oh no, I'm already attached. Wonderful, thank you. And last but certainly not least, the very lovely Faye. Oh, hi.
Oh, hello. My gosh, my heart is still like racing because I've like basically run from my car home and set everything up. But I'm very excited to be here and play my character, Cinnamon Isleleaf, who is like the exact opposite of me, which is just a teenager, very excited, very happy, and not cynical at all. Yes. So excited to be here.
Wonderful. Well, last time Basalt and Cinnamon were thrown into a bit of a chase as they chased this gnome through the streets of Sharn amidst one of the midsummer festivals, and what became a very chaotic and wonderful thing. They found themselves thrown through, not too sure exactly what they were thrown through, but they ended up on the astral plane, and they met with this bizarre character who, with sort of this old hunched woman with her jabbing stick and her demanding ways, sort of enrolled them in asking them for help in the search of the Shards of Siberys. And the first clue is that they are currently looking for the observatory, the long-lost observatory, which she seems very, very desperate to find, to look at the golden rings of Siberys that lie around Eberron and the legends of the dragons that were told before. And she has dumped our crew through a very high tower, and they have plummeted through all of these different sort of clothes being dyed, hung up, beautiful garments as I believe Basalt landed very well, and Cinnamon definitely crashed through most of everything. But they've been told they are going to an event, a party, up at the high towers from one of the most famous houses in Shan. And they're in search of a journal that holds the secrets that could be the key to unlocking where this observatory is. And Cinnamon and Basalt, as you lay there, sort of amongst all of these different colored clothes, these blues, greens, reds, golds, you can hear a voice as a male voice sort of pushes through going, okay, now what on earth has she done now? As he sort of like throws back very elegantly these curtains, which at first you thought were just more bits of material. And you see this very tall elf stood there, long pointed ears, long coat, black and silver. And he looks over at you. And he doesn't look too shocked that you have both landed in what maybe you consider his shop or warehouse. You can see a small halfling sort of poking their head around the side, these little sort of golden ringlets falling about her face. And this elf with a very pointed face, a very stern jaw, and a very good-looking young elf looks over and goes, Who are you? Can I ask at least before you're just thrown into my shop and damage all my goods? Lindy, get the tub. And you see this halfling sort of rush over and start scooping up some of the dyes that have been knocked over at the side. And he stands there with his hands on his hips, like very, very stern as he looks at you, both of you.
I'm gonna come out from underneath whatever cloth is on top of me and like pulling robes off of me, dusting myself off, and stands up, big smile. Hi, my name's Cinnamon. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
I am Alessandro, the Alessandro, I would like to point out. And why has she sent me a child? Is that what we're doing now? Or we just, and he half looks like he's talking to this halfling who's just shrugging, piling things on as she starts ferrying them in and out of this small tower. And you, your friend, who are you?
Basalt is leaning on his cane and takes like a hobbling step forward, puts his hand out. Basalt Veldoran, nice to meet you. The child is very capable, and you should probably check your pockets and make sure you still have everything.
I'm not a child.
Are you a thief?
Exactly.
Nothing worse, a child and a thief. And he starts like checking all of the
very
pockets.
Judgmental.
He's a judgmental person. Didn't you see by the way he entered into the room? And he looks over, he's like, hands on his hips, and you notice very much he looks you up and down, both of you. No, this won't do either of this. So, you're Myra's little adventurers, right? You're the ones going to the party. Okay. Lindy, get the tickets and my measuring tape. And this halfling comes back in with a stream of measuring tape. And these two very sort of gold leaf tickets that look handwritten with a quill. And he's like, right, okay. What do you like to wear? You've got to dress up. You can't go to a Fialin party looking like this. Because it just won't do. And he's looking at your clothes and he's holding them and sort of dropping them.
You just came from a party like this.
I have
Proper
questions.
party.
Question.
Go fast.
Question. Who are you? Where are we? How do you know that we're going to this party? And I think I'm dressed pretty well for a party. Yeah, right?
I am the Alessandro. This is my shop, Alessandro's finest fabrics in Shan. Okay? Glamour weave. I'm talking every color, every shimmer you could imagine. And you think that Do you know who I dress?
Who do you
Alice, can we
dress?
roll for Alessandro?
Yeah.
You want to roll for Alessandro?
Like a history check? Do we know him?
Yeah.
roll a history check, or in fact, no. Yeah, you. I will say you can roll a history check.
I don't know if I know very much about
That's exactly what I
him.
wanted. Perfect.
Let's see.
Go ahead. Okay, Basil, you have never heard of this man. You haven't seen the face. You haven't heard of the clothing line that all the the other shadow marked houses are wearing. You don't know. It's just great clothes to you. Cinnamon, you definitely have an inkling. More because you like shiny things. And glamour weave is a very fabulous material. The patterns and things like that on them move as they are worn. And you do notice on his boots these very, very black leather boots, well tailored, little silver embroidered dragonflies around his ankle and onto the next boot before landing at the top, perched almost as if it was on the heel.
Ooh, I like your boots.
He's like, thank you. You have good taste. I'm starting to like you. Right. What color do you want to wear? I mean, I would say you should probably be in a blue or a green. I suppose I should give you an option.
I can do green. I like green. Elves
You
like green, right?
You like green? I okay. What do you? Hang on, no, I have an idea. And he sort of starts shuffling around. He goes, Lindy, as this halfling seems to know his habits, is very much aware of his demeanor, and comes in already with clothes laden. And he starts pulling up all of this glamour weave and just putting it up against you, looking, nope, and just throwing it to the side. And what sort of outfit would you, or would Cinnamon be attracted to?
I think she's never worn like a evening gown before, so she's always wanted to wear an evening gown. Prom dress.
We're doing prom, okay.
We're doing prom. She's 16. We're doing prom.
And you have this long sort of green dress on. It's very, very fitted apart from when it goes down to the skirt. And embroidered all around the outside are these very bronze and amber and gold leaves, all that sort of sit around the bottom. And you notice, as he does over and over again, go 12, 12, faster. And as you do, the leaves sort of start to drift down from your waist and settle around your feet. He's like, okay, that's pretty good. I'll take that. And you, what do you wear? What do you want? I see you have some form of style. Is there something in particular you would want? And why are you wearing furs? It is midsummer.
This is the nicest thing that I own, and it seemed like a good choice at the time.
You're not answering my question.
Well, I have to represent my dragon marked house as I take my symbol and hold it up. Well, and
what house are you? Any sort of
Tharashk.
Tharashk. Oh, great. Okay. And he starts scrolling through a long textbook that he's pulled out, which at first it would seem from nowhere, but Lindy's there. And she's there holding this book up, and it's a book full of materials, documents, and there's just a real mix in here. And he's like, well, so what do you like? What colors do you like?
Well, skin tone wise, Basil's rather green, so he says, well, green usually works well. Charcoal, black, gray.
You like to keep it pretty dark like mine? And he sort of gestures to his sort of black and silver.
I mean, it's rather dashing, don't you think?
I do. It's why I'm wearing it. Slimming, fabulous. makes an impact when you walk in, right? You said you're a house Tarask. Okay, so you've got the sea, and he flips over to the material where you can see this gold inlay of the symbol of this almost dragon lion type sort of creature, like and he's like, okay, no, I know what I can do with that. I can work with this. And very soon you two are in maybe an outfit not far off of his, but on your back is the huge symbol of your dragon marked house. And you notice as you sort of walk, every now and then it throws its head back and this flame sort of erupts and goes over your shoulder blades and sort of drapes down the sides. He's like, okay. So you now all look the part. I'm going to give you a rundown as he rolls up his sleeves. He's like, okay, so first of all, here are your tickets. And he hands one out to each of you. He's like, you are to find the research, you are to get it, you are to bring it back, and we will give it to Mara, and hopefully then you can just go on your way and not, worry about it. I'll even let you keep the outfits. I'm a very generous individual. Anyway,
Oh,
things
thank you.
should know. No problem, sweetie. As he sort of looks over at you. The head of the house, the person who is running this ball, this party, this really, yes, is Elvenor Fialin, head of the house of Shadow. Now, I don't know how much you know about the House of Shadow, but you do not piss off these people, okay? It's just not something you do. They are very good at what they do, and parties like this, they're not really parties. It's to get to know you, it's to get information. They have great food. But you don't go for the food, you go there. Okay. And he looks at Butters. You may want to keep an eye on her. Technically,
I will be right by the buffet table looking for her the whole time.
He's like, technically, they were in like a link with House Thiani, but you know how that got after the war, so we don't really talk about that. Best to avoid the topic as a heads up. You can see I flick through the book again. Their emblem is the Hydra. They're pretty happy about it. It's going to be everywhere. It's probably good that you know it. Things you will need most, like the journal you're looking for, is most likely going to be in Elvenor's private office. Okay, so, do the social thing and then maybe go find it and bring it back and leave and get out of there as soon as possible. Also, she greets everyone. There is no one who doesn't pass her gaze. But under no circumstances do you look her in the eye. She's a scary lady. A very scary lady. And you can see him sort of shiver slightly. So, anyway, she has a delightful daughter. But she's very, very short-tempered. Some people, don't even leave the place alive. They've heard of all sorts of duels and battles going on, but it's a party, so you have fun. And there is a carriage sorted, and you hear at that point this sort of the neighing of horses outside, and Lindy pokes her head through the curtains, like, carriage is here, as he sort of turns around, like, okay, now come on, get out of my shop, go to the party, go, and he starts shoving you both out.
Thanks for the evening gown. It was nice to meet you, Mr. Alessandro.
The Alessandro. Oh my
Mr.
gosh.
The Alessandro.
God, these children. As he sort of again dramatically closes the curtains.
Cinnamon, you didn't happen to ask how flammable glamour weave is compared with the other fabrics to do?
I didn't mean to. I didn't ask.
Forgot.
Why?
Things get set on fire.
I happen to like this dress a lot.
I was thinking of my things. I wasn't planning on setting your things on fire.
Okay. Question. So you're of like a fancy house, right?
I would say so, yes.
Should I pretend like I'm from a fancy house?
That is an excellent question. There are several elven dragon-marked houses, but I have a feeling they will know them well.
Okay. So what's my excuse for being at this party? Do people bring
Would you-
friends to this party?
I was wondering if you would consent to be my companion for the evening in the most platonic of ways.
Yeah.
Okay, great,
Sure.
great.
We'll get the prom photo. It's okay.
Yes. And I'll do like the standard prom guy where I'll just stand there awkwardly, like, so great.
And you can see that Lindy has done a very low bow and opened the carriage for you. And you can see these wheels are almost like large discs, all sort of mixed, sort of whirling in different directions with this sort of electrical gold sort of energy whirring between them as the carriage door opens on its own and steps roll out.
I will be your
Ooh.
driver this evening.
And she sort of puts on a hat, a flat cap, and you notice her change immediately into a halfling still, but looks completely different to what stood before you before. Sort of a very neat red bun on top of her head and a sharp suit herself, almost like a tweed. And she sort of smiles, and you can see throughout this tweed is what looks like a needle sewing in and out of the lines.
All aboard. Ma'am.
That was so cool. My name is Cinnamon.
Lindy. But don't call me that.
What do I call you?
You know, no one's ever asked me that. What would you like to call me?
I was gonna call you Lindy, but you said don't call you Lindy.
Yeah, don't call me Lindy.
Should we call you Driver just to preserve your identity?
That could work. You two are good. You're better than the others she sent.
How many times have we tried this before?
Oh no, this is the first time. It's alright. You're all good. We're not sending you in after, the first lot failed and disappeared. That'd be mad.
That doesn't sound suspicious at all, right, Basalt?
Luckily, I barely paid attention at all.
All aboard.
And she sort of gestures again and does the low bow.
I get on.
And
Yes.
as you do, you realize this is the carriage you sit in sort of tips from side to side as you get onto it. It is very, very rocky, as it were. And you can both get on. The stairs fold up, the door closes. You hear Lindy climb up, and the carriage goes. And we're going to jump over to Joanna. Where would Joanna be on this evening towards the party? Would you already be there? Are you on your way? What do you look like?
They're very built as just a result of being a monk. They're pretty lean and tall. And the fancy outfit they've opted for is kind of like a skin-tight, like black bodysuit with gold accents.
Nice.
And they're pretty brash. I think they're gonna try to just walk on right in, but maybe through like a side door. It's
Okay.
easier to beat up one auxiliary guard than like the 10 at the front gate.
Okay. You start to... Would you have walked there, or would you have got a carriage?
Walked.
Okay. So you start to arrive. You come up the winding streets. It's a long old walk up to the tops of Shan, up by the towers, and you can hear music as it is sort of starting inside. You can see the light sort of blaring through this huge building. You couldn't even call it a manor house. It's almost like a castle built with all of these towers. This is almost a huge fortress. And you can see these enormous wooden doors that have opened wide, and people in these gowns flooding in. And above this doorway hangs a huge banner of the Fialin Hydra. And you can see, again, it's made of glamour weave, and every now and then the heads circle, they snap at each other, and then they reform and solidify. You can see some of these guards are dressed very elaborately. You can definitely pick out the ones that are there for looks and the ones that are there to actually do their job. And you see people filing in, and they are handing over tickets to these guards that are checking. What would you like to do?
Do I see any guests that look particularly either not too observant or already inebriated?
Roll a perception check for me. Okay, so you see a few people. First of all, you can see a very, very short, very, very round, gentlemanly looking dwarf that looks to be in perhaps very much his finest armor. Again, definitely very more decorative than useful. A huge sort of black beard that sort of bellows over his chest, and dark hair plaited all the way down his back. But just beneath those blue eyes, you see two very rosy cheeks. He has a drink in his hand. He doesn't seem drunk, he just seems merry. He is talking to quite a few people, and he seems very distracted. He is surrounded by lots of people laughing and sort of chortling. You're pretty sure he made a joke, even though you missed it, but he is like Brian Blessed throwing his head back, kind of laughing. You heard him halfway down the street. And you can also see an older lady, very tall, very slim, very elegant, just sort of on her own, sort of fussing about as if she's looking for someone she knows.
Does the dwarf gentleman look like he's just pre-gaming, or did he already hand in his ticket and
This is
heading in?
before the entrance. This looks to be a bit of merriment that happened beforehand. I will say on a 20, you can see just half poking out that gold leaf of a ticket, just at the edge, peeking out of his pocket.
I'll approach the gentleman and I'll come around the blind spot to the side and just join in the laughter like I was there the whole time and caught the joke.
Yeah, you can hear him. He's like, welcome, we're gonna go and have the finest time at the finest ales. I make ales, you see. And he's sort of, there's this human stood there that looks mildly nervous as he slaps him on the back so hard that he almost falls over. But he sort of looks around. He doesn't pay attention to anyone or you in particular. If anything, you think he's trying to see how many eyes are on him. He's more interested in what people think of him than what he thinks of others.
My good man, you look like a fellow of taste and adventure.
It's like, then you would be right. And he sort of pushes past this other human to come towards you. You would be right. And who are you? So elegantly dressed.
I'm Joanna Joltaire. But my
does a
friends call me
low-
Jojo. Feel free to call me Jojo.
And he does a long bow so that his beard touches the cobbled streets, and he looks back up again. So, what brings you here?
Oh, the same thing that brings anyone here. That to you specifically is, I see a lot of people very finely dressed, but they lack that spark. But I see that in you, my good man. Would you be interested in a game of cards?
A game of cards? I promised my wife I wouldn't, but roll a persuasion for me. On a 13, he sort of looks at you. He's like, I don't play cards, but is there something you were interested in?
Oh, I just find that you can learn a lot about a person by how well they play their cards.
Well, I'm awful at cards. It's why I'm not allowed to play anymore. Anyway, are you here on your own?
Well, see, that's the rub of my problem. My companion is a bit delayed and, unfortunately, messaged me ahead of time to let me know that they'd misplaced their ticket. Now,
Oh,
I
good
don't want to beg for a ticket at such a noble occasion, and would certainly never stoop to something as dishonorable as stealing one. So I'm looking to challenge a worthy opponent to a game of chance. Seems the most honorable way to resolve my predicament.
And you can roll either a deception or persuasion purely because of the story with it as well.
I'll go for deception.
On a 19, he looks at you. Look. And he leans in, and you can smell ale on his breath. And he's like, I know the Fialins. If you want to, come in, I'm sure I can get you in. You seem like a wonderful individual. I mean, it's... you don't feel obliged to hang around or anything. In fact, I'd rather you not. I like to socialize quite a lot. But you seem like an interesting person who belongs at a party such as this, as he looks at your outfit.
I'm gonna give him a hearty slap on the back like he did the human.
Yeah, roll a strength for me. I want to see how hard you hit him. Not strength. Roll an athletics. Yeah, he looks at you and he's
gonna pay for those rolls.
It's more of a you slap him hard and you realize how short and stocky he is, and he just doesn't move. And he's like, it's a good slap you've got there, and he slaps you back, and you feel it hard. And I'm gonna roll as well because I want to see what happens.
Don't kill off our characters.
Yeah, kill you at the gateway. No, he doesn't hit that much harder. You think maybe he's had a bit too much to drink, and maybe he doesn't actually hit that hard. He's just very low to the ground. He has bearings.
I'll play it off as like it was quite the impact. I'll indulge him a little.
Yeah. Okay, now come with me. And he offers his arm up to you, sort of laughing as he goes.
All right, I'll join in the laughter. I'm in.
And he walks you up with a quick conversation. You're in. Lons, where would we find you?
Lance is not terribly charismatic, but is well known enough. I feel like he's a doctor, so he treats people. He could probably, through his patients, get a good word in, and I think would probably find his way legitimately into the party. And just his description, he is medium height, olive skin, brown hair, and cut really close, dark blue robes, not any kind of magical enchantment to them, just his nicest robes. And he has installed himself in the party, gotten a drink, and then is standing in a corner and just watching the room.
You can stand there with your drink every now and then. You see people walk around. They try to refill your glass, or at least offer to take your empty one away. And you're stood in this huge ballroom. These big marble floors, very much a red and sort of yellow kind of dull feature on the floor. The ceiling itself is all glass. You can see these streamers sort of almost pouring out of the sky. You see these colorful illusions of birds and dragons sort of swirling above you of this music. People on the dance floor. There's more socializing than dancing, but you do see the odd person sort of being twirled around this dance floor. The huge tables of food, which is just piled up, probably more there for color than actual taste. There's a lot of sweet treats on these tables, and a lot of roast meats and vegetables here as well, but are all sort of awkwardly towered up. You know that somewhere there is a chef that has sat there and painstakingly color-coded this tower of everything, basically. And there stands a huge sort of jelly at the center. And you can see at the far end of the hall, over by, which is almost like a balcony looking down onto the dance floor, you recognize Lady Fialin almost instantly. That very narrow face, that very sort of sour look, which you see change as soon as someone comes to talk to her, but you notice as soon as no one's watching, it's a very piercing look, very sharp green eyes, dark hair, which is braided very long over one shoulder with these almost glowing sort of crystals set into her hair, which you can see as she sort of observes they move and change color in a long, dark red gown. She looks at you across the thing and just gives you a little bit of a nod.
I'm sorry, did we establish what race she was?
She is an elf.
Okay. I will kind of lock eyes for a second and just kind of give the polite bow back, and probably going to keep my eyes on her. Going to observe the room, but I'll be looking back at her regularly, especially when no one's around her.
Okay. You can see at the moment there's a crowd sort of not gathering but waiting to talk to her. You can see her trying to do pleasantries. But there's not too much going on around her. It's more of a say hello and move on, say hello and move on.
Do I notice when I just sweep in the room, do I notice anything out of the ordinary? Someone else in a corner watching? Someone
Roll
maybe...
a perception check for me, please.
Okay, perception.
Okay. You look over, you don't see anyone in particular like watching her. Everyone seems to be watching everyone at this. But then you're aware of this. You're a doctor. You've probably treated half the people in here. It's a very well-to-do party. And as much as you may not know their secrets, you know they have them. There's a reason they come to you. The one thing I will say is that you do see a very tall orc stood over in the corner, female, and dressed again very, very well. You can see a tattoo down the side of her face, this sort of almost floral sort of feature that goes down the side of her face, and she's smiling, and you can see that she wears robes of a different kind. They seem a bit more... It's not as strict as on point. It's very flowy. There's lots of sort of scarves and things hanging off of her. And she's just looking around. She doesn't actually seem to be talking to anyone.
Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to do?
I think I'm just going to observe the room and wait for something to happen, because I feel like something's going to happen.
Okay. Then, Basalt and Cinnamon, you arrive at this place, and your tickets are checked. Lindy gives you a little salute, and she does some hand signals, which you're pretty sure means something, but you don't know what it means. And
I do a hand signal too.
yeah, and she's like, and she starts heading off with the carriage. But You see these huge elaborate marble steps. People are filing in. Your tickets have been handed in. The huge banners with the Hydra drape everywhere in this place. This is very much telling you that this is the Fialin household. You can see as you walk into the room, these tightrope walkers across the ceiling as they sort of do acrobatics along the top. And every time they look as if they're about to drop, you think there's something there shielding them, and they're throwing these bursts of magic and sort of wisps of color, and you can hear some oohs and ahs, and you can see some illusions of sort of almost like mini fireworks coming from their hands as they put on the show above you.
Cinnamon looks exactly how you think she would look. She has never seen anything like this in her entire life. She's like, her jaw is probably hitting the floor. She's looking around. She's like, Basalt, look at that. Look at that.
There's quite a lot to look at. Yes, it's amazing. I mean, quite the house.
They're amazing. Oh, look at the food.
Yes. We should go look at the food. That's a good plan.
You can sort of mosey over to the table.
There's no moseying.
No, it's a dive, isn't it? It's going to be you sort of have this dive as you head over towards the table, and there's this pile of what look like glacéed fruits you've never even seen before, and things like that. These are fruits that you can see some of them have been half cut open, and as much as they're red on the outside, they are blue on the inside, and they seem to shine and shimmer as you turn them.
We very politely load our plates.
Seems accurate, yes. No argument there.
Do I notice the people who've just come in who look like this is the first party they've ever walked into?
Roll a perception check for me, please.
Is any deception check?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can spot them a mile off. You know a newbie when they come in.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're watching those two pretty well.
There's a lot to watch. We're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I think by the time we reach the end of the buffet, Basil is now talking to someone and saying, look, now, I know we have a job to perform here, but once we finish these plates, I really do think we should do some dancing while we have the opportunity.
Are people dancing on the floors right now?
Yeah, you on the lower level, you can see a few people are twirling around the dance floor. They are having the time of their lives.
Cinnamon has never danced before in her entire life, but she says, yes, we should totally do that. That looks like so much fun.
Great. I'm very bad at it, but I also was thinking that you're very nimble and I'm less likely to injure you than I might be someone else.
That is good thinking, yes. Uh-huh.
I do know what the steps are. I just can't do them well.
Okay, well, I don't know what any of the steps are, but I'm a fast learner.
It's very true. It's very true. I feel like this is your wheelhouse.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. But first things first, unusual fruit.
First things first, unusual fruit. I want that on a t-shirt so badly.
Well, it's a real Academy mood. What can I say?
And Joanna, you have just entered this hall, and the dwarf has sort of been preoccupied with other people and has almost wandered off and is now talking to another group of people, leaving you pretty open to just see everything. There's this wonderment that is going on at the time. And I will say, you two, especially from where you've come in, you see that orc dressed in fine silks, and which stands out quite a bit, but it's definitely a different look.
I'll keep an eye on the pair of newbies and kind of gauge them, see what they're about. But I want to kind of run the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody who's really drinking, really kind of pre-gaming or getting deep into the cup, and I'm gonna start sowing the rumors of poker or D&D equivalent tournament.
Okay. Could you roll me a perception check, please? Okay. You can't see anyone playing any particular games, but you do know these people are... They're not the sort of people to play or gamble games at a party, purely because you know a lot of them are going to be sore losers and probably not control their tempers at these places, which this place is definitely all about how you look, how you present yourself, and everything. Sort of along those lines. You can see Lady Fialin, who is definitely being talked at, but not looking at the person who is talking to them, who looks very enthusiastic, very over the top. You can see doorways along the sides that seem to lead away, but there are guards by them. And soon, a waiter appears with a silver sort of tray. Drink.
Of course. I'll take one. I kind of touch it to my lips, but not swallow. I'm not imbibing. I'm keeping my wits about me. And I'm making sure to only eat from plates that I've seen other people eat from.
Absolutely. Whereas you see Basil and Cinnamon like, piling it up right now. Yeah, you can definitely survey around. And I will say, because of how intently you're looking, you will notice that Lons, this other human, is also watching these two newbies.
I'm watching the watcher. We're all watching each other.
We're not watching, we're just eating.
So
Fair.
they're not doing that. And Lons, as you're sort of watching these two newbies, trying all this different fruit, sort of like, look at this, like, as they're eating first fruit. And it's sort of going on and on. You can definitely feel a presence walk towards you. And this orc looks... How tall is Lons?
5'10".
Okay, probably about the same eye level, if not maybe an inch taller than you. She looks at you and smiles. Good evening.
Well, hello.
I spotted you from across the way.
I saw you as well, lady.
And you did not think to say hello?
You'll forgive me. My manners being what they are, I'm not one for socializing well, and I'm sure ladies such as yourself has more than enough conversation at hand.
And she smiles, and it looks like a genuine smile. And you can see those two teeth sort of poke up through her lips as she does. And these sort of earrings that sort of come down from her ears and trail almost all the way down her shoulder with how long these are. And she looks at you. You have an interesting feel about you. You have a... And she sort of pauses for a moment. May I read your hands? Your palms?
Oh, all right, and I'll hold up one hand.
And she doesn't think, she literally takes it and looks at it very closely, and you can feel like her hand, she's really as if she's looking. Could you roll me a 1d10, please?
1d10. So you have to remind me, how would I just roll blank dice?
Yes, I will put that in the Zoom chat, so you can just copy and paste. So you do it like that.
Thank you very much.
Straight into roll 20.
Oh.
10. She looks at you over and over again at your hand, doesn't look at anything else, and starts looking in between your fingers, and she looks like very sort of intrigued by this now. She's like, so you have doctor's hands, But there is definitely a voice telling me something for you. And there's a moment where she pauses again and looks a little bit like her brow tensens. It says you should beware the crows, the twin crows, for beyond the twin crows, something unpleasant lies. In fact, I'm finding this very unsettling. Would you take this? And thank you for rolling that earlier, fake guy. Lons, you are handed this very sort of silver token, almost like a coin, but it's just bigger than a coin. And it's inscribed, almost like this metal disc inscribed with the image of a feather. And this is a disc when it's the feet of feather fall. So when you fall at least 20 feet whilst you're holding this, you descend safely, effectively, for 60 feet as it goes. And she looks at you and she's like, it's a good luck token, and it should be I would find it very sad if something were to befall you.
I take the token. My lady, you honor me. Might I know your name? I'm Lons Farhand. I'm a doctor in the town. Might I have your name?
And she looks at you and says, I'm afraid not. I am not permitted to give my name for the safety of myself. I am in, and she gestures over to Lady Fialin. I am her personal seer.
I understand, my lady.
No offense.
None taken at all. How, if I may ask, how is it working for Our Lady?
It is working well. And she smiles and nods, and she speaks very calmly, a very soothing voice. She's like, and then there's a moment where you see a blink in her eye where it could be a slight lie, but it's more like out of politeness. It's like, it is a very rewarding job.
Can I pull anything from that? Any kind of perception as to...
Roll an insight check.
No.
Not really. If anything, you think, you know Lady Fialin's reputation. She's not, the most welcoming, the most warm human. So if anything, you're like, no one really wants to work for the Fialins as much as it's a great honor. No one really wants to work for the Fialins.
Okay.
And she sort of gives you a small bow.
I bow back.
Starts to walk away. And you can see, well, Cinnamon and Basil, how far along are you in eating these plates right now?
We could be done. We can go on to dancing.
No, that's not what I'm
we do
saying.
have
I'm
other things.
genuinely interested to see how far they would get.
Basil eats really fast, I gotta say.
Okay.
I think as much as Cinnamon wants to eat, I think like her eyes are probably bigger than her stomach. And so she like loads up her plate, but like, like a quarter of the way through it, she realizes she's actually quite full.
Okay.
And she has to put her plate down.
And you put the plate down. I will say at this point, you can see Lons, mainly because Lons is talking to another individual, and he seems to have been a lot closer than he was before. And can the both of you roll a perception check for me, please? And Joanna as well, actually, for a separate thing.
I get to add a D4 to that.
Yes.
I just like to point out my special powers.
Snap. Okay. Almost at the same time as Basil and Cinnamon, you're there putting your plates down. You both spot Lons. You spot this orc walking away, and you see over the other side, Lady Fialin is watching both of you very intently. And it's a very stern gaze. It doesn't seem like she's angry or anything. It's just, it's a powerful gaze. She stands with broad shoulders, stands very strong.
Hey, Basalt,
Yes,
do you see what I'm seeing?
I do.
Are you doing
if that-
this?
No.
You just out of
It's very subtle. It's more subtle than that.
Is it?
Maybe not. Yeah,
Like,
she's
well,
a
holding a
rogue. She's
strawberry
probably
stem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'll let you do it. It's fine.
She's like holding a little, like, you know, like the core of the apple or something. She's like, do you see what I'm seeing?
Yes, I do.
Should we go say hi?
That's probably right. If it was your mom, would you
Mhm.
expect, being? Do you expect that your mom that she would want you to go say hi?
Well, remember the Alessandro said that Lady Fialin greets everyone, and I think we've been eating her food and we haven't really greeted her.
It's a good point. I really thought she was going to introduce herself to us, but I suppose this is fairly forward as it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, let's go. And I do the
Let's.
arm hook.
And
The prom arm hook.
I mean, Lons, you see them very enthusiastically moving towards Lady Fialin, but I will say, Joanna, you're looking around and you see Lady Fialin, you see that lot. But the other thing you see is there seem to be two waiters and waitresses, as in one's a waiter, one's a waitress, sorry. Over by the corner of one of the smaller doors that some of them have been ferrying in and out of, and they seem concerned. They seem to be two genasi. They are in the uniform, and they look worried, like they're talking something not heated, not like an angry thing, but almost like you could see that definitely from across the room.
I will, as discreetly but quickly as possible, make my way closer and try to eavesdrop.
Okay, could you roll me a stealth check, please? Okay. You head over towards this. You move quite fluidly at first through these people. You don't attract attention of any of these other high-level people. But almost as soon as you head towards them, both of them lock eyes with you, and they stop immediately, dead straight in. Would you like a drink? And they hold the tray out.
Yeah, I'll take the drink. I'll hold my cup out, but just kind of give them the very piercing glare. Not piercing as an accusatory, but like, hey, something's going on.
Are you intimidating, like, to try and get something out of them, or what are you doing with that?
Maybe insight. I'm not trying to intimidate them, but just kind of reach that
roll-
understanding of I know something's off. I'm not gonna narc, but
Okay,
me
roll
in.
me an insight check, please. Okay. They sort of look at you, and there's a mutual understanding that you know that they looked panicked, but they're trying to give nothing. And it's a really awkward silence as you both stand there. They're smiling, a polite smile, and you could tell that they were nervous, but it's that awkward, wonderful British silence that everyone hates. Scrat loves.
I love it too.
And they just stand and look at you and sort of look from side to side.
Let that awkwardness linger for a couple more seconds, and then I'll peace out.
Yeah, you can sort of move away. You don't have to move too far away from them, but you can move away. Lons, what are you doing as you watch these two arm in arm basically skip towards Lady Fialin?
I've tensions drawn between the orc seer and the coin in my hand. Just kind of trying to figure out twin crows, and I'm thinking two in my head, and I see these two knuckleheads, and I see them walking towards a very important lady, and I think this is going to be where my attention lies for the foreseeable future. Because whatever is going to happen, I'm just going to be very intent on. I might, depending on where I'm at in the room, I might move a little along the wall closer to see if I can overhear their conversation. Just to see if I can get kind of an idea of, just if I can get any information, who they are, what they're here for, and what's going to happen.
Okay, well, Basalt and Cinnamon, are you being quiet?
Cinnamon is always stealthy and quiet.
What about
No.
Basalt? I was gonna say.
Not any more so than typical.
Clomp.
Yeah,
Clomp.
that doesn't go away. That's not something I can control. So
And Alonso, you can follow them around, and it is. Would you be talking about anything in particular, or?
all right. So do you know what to say? Do you have any ideas on exactly how we do this?
Hi, my name is Cinnamon.
Yes, I think that'll do well. Honestly, that's about the best I could come up with. But Basalt in place of Cinnamon.
Okay, great. Should I extend my hand? Should I curtsy?
That's a great question. I don't really think she's going to be a handshaker. I'll be honest.
Okay. Do you think that she'll have like a key on her to her private office?
That seems very likely. Yes.
Okay. So here's the plan. We go up, we curtsy, we bow, we start a conversation. You sweet talk her a little bit, and I steal her keys.
I don't appreciate Alice laughing at that. Basil has a
Played
he
Lady
is
Fialin
proficient.
before. No. I
proficient
played
in
Lady
persuasion.
Fialin before, and I played Lauren, that salty ginger's mother, and she was terrified of her. So I want to see her be sweet talked.
Well, challenge accepted. I have 2 whole advantages for when I need them. This is going to go fine.
I really want you to pass though, because that would make history. Because everyone is apparently scared of my mum voice because of this character.
There.
Yeah, you can approach Lady Fialin, and you see people sort of trailing off away from her, and she stands there and rests her very small lace glove hands on the balcony, looking down at people eating, people drinking and dancing. And you notice like a shot that she turns and looks at both of you as you start approaching. And there's a moment, that stony gaze, which turns into a smile. She's like, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Cinnamon has no idea how to behave. She's going to follow Basalt's lead.
I am Basil Vildaran of House Tharashk, and this is Cinnamon Highleaf, who is my companion for the evening.
And I curtsy.
And she watches you do it. You feel very judged. Not that it's bad, but she's just watching to see how you react.
Actively judging us, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I at least like roll a performance check for my curtsy?
Roll a performance. I'm not going to say it's going to make her feel any better.
Oh gosh, okay.
Do I now also have to roll a performance?
Oh Jesus
I
Christ!
feel you should now.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, both of you describe how well it goes. Basalt, you do pretty well. You've been at these sort of events before. Cinnamon.
I've never curtsied
Yeah.
in my
What
life.
does it look like? What does it look like?
So Cinnamon has never curtsied to anybody in her entire life. She doesn't really know, like, she's kind of like seen people curtsy, but she like hasn't seen what their feet are doing because like they're always wearing like long skirts. And so she kind of like dips down a little, but then she kind of has the whole like, wait, which foot? How do I bend my knees? Puts like one foot in the front of the other foot in front of the other, and kind of just like is very awkwardly, shakily going down and then comes back up.
And she does look at you. And again, smiles very, very quickly. I trust that you are enjoying the festivities.
Yes, very much so.
How old are you?
16.
And she looks. You see her glance towards where the alcohol is, and you also see her glance towards another younger woman who looks very much like her, but with very fiery red hair. You are only a few years younger than my daughter.
That's amazing.
It's the truth.
Well, I would love to meet your daughter.
I don't think you would. And then she looks over at Basalt and looks at. I noticed the house emblem on the back of your jacket. It is an honor to meet another dragon-marked home.
Frankly, the honor is mine. Thank you for having us. We've been having a lovely evening so far.
And you hear a heavy sigh, sort of a. Yes, it is a wonderful event. And there's a very pained smile you can see. She's like, this is my doctor, my cleric, and Lons, you realize you can't really be ignored by this person. She watches everything. So, my cleric, these are Basalt and did you see Cinnamon, dear?
Yes, Cinnamon.
This is Cinnamon.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Yes, very nice to meet you. Yes.
Lovely to meet you. I'm gonna attempt a curtsy again.
Performance me. Thank you.
Much better.
Yes, you've done it the next time.
Figured
And
out the angles.
you sort of like bend low and drape your hand, your skirt sort of, the leaves fall down the side of your sleeves onto your skirt. And you could see her nod. Well, I hope you enjoy everything. I will be retiring for a moment, but I will be back.
It was lovely to meet you, Lady Fialin.
I will bow to the lady as she leaves.
Do you mind if I ask a question very briefly before you go? Looking at
And
Cinnamon out of the
she
corner of my eye.
pauses for a like uncomfortably long time. Is it? Yes. Ask it.
Thank you. So there's this house Thorani, is that correct?
That is correct.
And frankly, what is the best way, should I encounter someone from that house as a fellow dragon marked with very little experience in dealing with the various houses, what is the correct way that one should deal with them?
You don't
Yes. Is there
deal
any-
with them, I mean.
Yes. I was thinking the same. Because I would much rather have the... I would much rather be in the good graces of House Fialin than them. And are there any particular tips you could give me to keep it so that I could pass on to my house?
And she looks at you again and tilts her head to the side. It is advisable that you wish to keep strong ties with the Fialin household. After all, I know your house. It is one we have formed mutual friendships and benefits with. My best advice, stay away from the Thorani.
And if they were to say, attempt to communicate or hire one for a piece of business,
Why would you go to them for business?
No, the opposite, in fact. If they were to come to me, what would be a recommended approach to handling such a situation?
Very politely and very bluntly, tell them to go away.
As this conversation is happening, I think Cinnamon is very slowly sidling up next to, like, if the two of them are talking here, she's like sidling up right here next to them.
And I will say now, she will notice you're next to her. This is... The House of Shadows is effectively the House of Rogues. And she does look at you briefly, but continues to look at Basalt. Pauses from our gives like Lonza sort of it's a sickly sweet smile, but looks at Basalt. It's like, you just avoid Therania at all costs. They are not going to bring you any benefit in any which way or other.
I'm going to very sneakily pick up her sleeve. So like not stealing from her, but just kind of checking to see how sneaky she is and if she catches me. So I would like to make a sleight of hand check.
Yes, go for it.
That is okay.
Absolutely. And without moving, you sort of
Yes.
go and lift. You sort of go to lift it, and she goes, "Please don't touch me."
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just admiring your lovely dress.
And admire with your eyes and not your hands.
She does the whole schoolgirl clasps her hand behind her back.
It is a very pretty dress you are wearing yourself.
Oh, thank you. The Alessandro gave it to me as a gift.
A gift? He is an interesting one. He made this also, so no wonder you could spot good taste.
Yes, he does amazing work with Glamour Weave.
You would be correct.
Well, we don't want to delay you from retiring.
Apologies, yes.
So,
Thank
yes.
you for your time.
She looks at both of you. I will return to the party. And then gives a smile. Lons, it was so wonderful to see you again.
You as well, my lady.
And she gives you a nod. And almost glides away, like in a really uncomfortable way, just like if, like, you'd be convinced there were roller skates under there if, like, she kept going.
Now that Lance has watched this entire thing, what am I pulling from Salt and Cinnamon here? I mean, what am I pulling?
Awkward.
Salt.
Oh, it's a thing.
Right there. It's right there.
What are they pulling for you, Salt and Cinnamon?
Awkwardness.
Yeah, very much awkwardness. Because I'm just like looking at him being like, she got me.
Can I
immediately say the one thing they said not to?
Mm-hmm. Can I insight anything as far as like motive? Because this is obviously an awkward conversation. I feel like there's subterfuge, not well pulled off, but I feel like there's something else going on. Can I pull anything like that?
You could roll an insight to maybe up against whether a performance or deception, like a counter one.
Okay.
But this won't tell you anything exact. It'll be like, are they here for a party? Or are they so awkward that it's like, hey, you shouldn't be here? So if Basalt and Cinnamon, could you both also roll either a deception or a performance, please?
Deception
Oh,
it
God.
is. Oh God, it's a natural one. Okay.
Okay. So first of all, you look at Basalt and you think maybe he's just a little bit awkward. He's definitely been to something like this before with the way he approached Lady Fialin. However, Cinnamon almost stacked it on the first sort of curtsy and is at first what you think is wild-eyed young teenager at their first ball. You really get the feeling this is not someone of nobility. This is not someone of a higher up household that knows how to behave, especially in these things. Wow,
You
would
would be
Cinnamon trip
correct.
up in any way? Like, is there something Cinnamon would say, or?
I think she's just like the way that she like has handled everything, like the way that she eats. She probably doesn't hold her
Licking
like
her fingers.
cutlery. Yeah, she's like licking her
She's
fingers. She's like not
Yeah.
holding her fork the right way, you know. She probably like grabs a drink and then immediately puts it back onto the tray full of like full drinks.
Yeah, Lons, you definitely feel that.
Cinnamon, did you want to go introduce yourself to Lady Fialin's daughter? and I could speak with the doctor about my knee. My knee actually hurts quite a bit. Maybe I could ask you about that. Do you have experience with ice?
I have experience
related
with
injuries.
many kinds of ailments.
Are you about to get some physio in the middle of the
This is
what
I
happens
would
when
ask
doctors go
you
to
to.
parties.
I would ask you to come to the office. This is why doctors hate coming to parties, because everyone asks them these questions. My elbow
Yes.
feels weird. It's annoying, but I do have experience with all sorts of ailments. I also the good feeling that the two of you have experience with probably not this environment, and not that it's any of my business, but may I ask what exactly you're doing here?
Well, we're going to dance, but Cinnamon did point out that we should meet the lady first.
Who
Yeah.
pointed that out to you?
Cinnamon did.
Oh,
Well,
I
it's
see.
my first time at a party, and I just thought that it would be good to meet people of the upper class, like myself.
okay. That's
Definitely a lie.
Oh, we lost someone. We'll be back in a minute.
Well, certainly hope you enjoy yourselves. And I point to where the ladies just left. I'm not one to get involved with things. Well, that's a lie. I'm not one to advise for people to not get involved in things, but that's a lady I would not want to mess with if I could avoid it. And whatever your business here, and I point to the dance floor, everyone's here for a reason, I'm sure. But, and I finally give up. I just enjoy yourselves. And I will turn, I walk about 2 paces away, and I'll turn around and I'll just kind of stand there and try to look at the floor, but keep my eyes on them.
Cinnamon, the doctor has a good point. We do actually need to figure out what we're doing here. So, we do probably need to talk to either him or else to the daughter.
I think you had a great idea. You talk to him, I'll talk to the daughter.
Yes, that seems like a good idea. I don't think that yeah.
Okay. And Cinnamon, you head off towards this younger elf, fiery red hair. And Vassal, you head back towards this doctor who could be dreading that you're going to ask him for physio. Otherwise,
let's face it, he should be dreading that.
It's constant. It's just my life.
And with that, for a moment, we are going to take our break. Everyone, go get something to drink, stretch your legs, tell your pets you love them. I love you, Ferguson. We will be back in a moment. Bye. Hello, Raiders! Welcome to some Eberron party shenanigans, where everything is fine, and all of our perception checks tell us that it is so. So, Cinnamon. In fact, sorry, not Cinnamon. Joanna, you are stood by these waitresses, but could you roll me a perception check, please? Just a straight-up perception check.
Will do.
Okay. On an 18, you watch them move away from the door, and from the door, you can hear what sounds like whispers, but it's a mixture of both whispers and words, but these words don't seem to be in a language you recognize. And it is all coming from behind this door.
All right, I'm gonna get into the door. Gotta create some kind of distraction, let's think. All right, I've got an empty cup with me.
Mm-hmm.
Can I, as surreptitiously as I can, kind of toss that at someone else's cup?
Yeah, roll a sleight of hand check for me. Is there anything in this cup, or is it literally just an empty cup?
Mine is empty, but I'm throwing it at somebody else's full cup.
It's full cup, okay. Oh, okay. You throw this cup, you sort of spin it almost out of control, and it hits this first glass, and you hear this woman sort of screech as the champagne sort of falls down her front over her dress. But the problem is she panics and moves back, and it hits the lady next to her, who pours red wine all over the gentleman beside him. And I will say, Basil, Lance, and Cinnamon, everyone hears this yelp. Everyone hears this sort of squeal of sort of panic. And you can all look over and you can see this scene. I will say on a nat one, you will see Joanna. But the drama going on with the women and this man and this group seems to be attracting most of other people's attention, but you can see Joanna.
I'll gesture at the hullabaloo and at the two waitstaff and be like, oh?
I will say on a nat one, though, you don't notice that they notice you.
That's fair.
I'm going to turn to Basalt, who I assume is standing next to me, and just politely ask, I don't suppose you know that person?
The waitstaff, no, I'm not really familiar with the servants around this particular home.
I was referring to the black and gold-clad individual who just chucked that cup into that group of people.
Oh, was that what happened?
I believe so.
Allegedly. Chuck the cup.
I'm assuming. Seems quite suspicious.
That does seem odd.
Yes. So not a friend of yours.
No, I have not had the opportunity yet. I suppose I could introduce myself.
Am I still with them, or have I gone over to Lady Fialin's daughter?
You sort of see this happen as you're on your way to Lady Fialin's daughter. So that is up to you.
Okay. I'm gonna do one of those, like, you know, you like strike up conversation with someone because something strange is happening. And she'll say something like kind of near her, like, well, this is the first party that I've ever been to. Is it customary for people to be throwing cups at other people?
And there's a moment where this fiery red-haired elf turns round and looks at you. She's like, "Oh, is this your first party?"
Yes, it is. Hello, my name is Cinnamon.
Hi,
I'll
I'm
be-
Ophelia.
Hi, Ophelia. It's lovely to meet you.
And she holds her hand out. She shakes yours very enthusiastically. She's like, I'm actually, and she looks again at you up and down, and you notice her noticing how close in age you both are. She's like, I'm actually just about to go and get some drinks. I was gonna go and get some from my Lady Fialin wanted me to pick some up from her cabinet. She doesn't like the red wine. Do you want to come?
Yeah, of course. Do you need some help?
And she sort of leans in and says, no, but you're literally the only person here that's my age.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that too. Anyway. Sure, let's go. So,
okay, this way. And she sort of heads towards one of the side doors and opens it and waits for you to walk through, like, after you.
sure, I go in after her.
Basil, I will say you can see this. It's not made, like, super secret. And Longe, you'll be able to see it from your angle as well.
Looks like your friend has made a friend.
Honestly, I feel rather awkward being the only one she knows here. I mean, I'm not really that close in age with her, so this is probably much better.
Indeed. And how exactly do you know her?
Well, Doctor, let me ask you this. What do you know about the balance?
Which balance?
The important one. The one that keeps our world from being destroyed.
Oh, that one.
You're a
I
cleric,
suppose...
sure.
Well, my balance is concerned with life and death. So, tertiary, I suppose I'm connected with it. However, mine is much more at a personal level. I care about the suffering of individual, so I get the feeling, though, you're talking about a balance at a sort of larger scale.
Yes. That's the stakes that I've been involved with. You see, it's more about whether or not our world gets destroyed. And that's really about life and death in the end, isn't it?
I suppose so. First of all, DM, do I believe what he is saying?
I would say so, Basil.
Okay.
You're not, like, going out of your way, are you, Basil, to seem deceptive or anything?
I mean,
sort of
literally
quite
not
outwardly, we're
trying
like,
at all
so
at
the
this point.
balance.
Okay.
So
Quite
Yes.
the balance.
the opposite of
Cards on the
this.
table. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, well, I would, if you are indeed, it sounds like a servant or warrior in this balance, I would wonder why that has brought you to this party.
Very good question. As you know, House Fialin is known for being excellent spies. They have information. I need to find a journal. I need to find the location of an observatory and do nothing else bad to anyone at all. So would you like to help me with that?
For the moment, I'm intrigued enough to say yes. And I get the feeling your friend over there, who's talking to Lady Fialin's daughter, which got on her, I take it she is also looking for this journal.
Hopefully more successful than I am right now, but yes, it seems like you are the two people we've met who actually know Lady Fialin that might have some idea of what we're looking at. And
By no...
frankly-
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, by no Lady Fialin, I doubt that I would know her better than anyone else. They don't call it the House of Shadows because they, air their grievances in the public marketplace. As far as a journal, DM, would I know anything about this? Would I have any idea this is a large manor house?
You would know that there's things like a library, you know she has her personal office, you know she values things of writing, but you wouldn't know of a journal.
So, all right. Well, logically, I would think if you're looking for a book, looking for a book in Lady Fialin's possession, two places she would keep it, either her library, which is, I understand, extensive, and of course there's her personal study. I think you would have to ask the question, how important this book, or how important does Lady Fialin know this book is? If it is very important, she would keep it next to her person. If it was just one of many in her collection, I'm sure it has vast, it might be more accessible in the library.
Well, I suppose at this point what I'm saying is that I've taken you into my confidence, and if you should happen to see a journal that I don't really have a strong description of it, but if you see something that looks like a journal that might contain this sort of information, and maybe you got to look at it, I would appreciate the aid.
I would certainly consider
now
that.
that I say it out loud, I really should be using my magic to find it. I don't know why I haven't bothered to do that yet.
That would seem like the first thing you do.
I got a little bit excited about this idea of having a party here, and now
it is exciting.
I'm realizing there is a reason that I'm actually here, as in that I've been chosen to do this. Well, very well. Let me just do my best. Okay, I have to go look up how locate object works again real quick.
Whilst that happens, Joanna, no one is looking at you anymore. I will say the distraction is very much, the women don't seem to be very interested in that they didn't know that it was you that threw the cup. They are very obsessed with what it has done to their dresses, though.
Unfortunately, but necessary collateral in this venture. I'll throw open the door and just to walk in. At my university, there was an incident where somebody, in a fancy suit, stole a piano from the music school and managed to cart it all the way to the other side of campus, and nobody questioned them.
Okay.
And I aim to channel that energy right now.
Okay, you can stroll in. I will say you can definitely stroll in to... You open this door. It's quite a small door. But as you step in, you step into a bit of a hallway. You can see the sort of stone busts of some people from the House of Fialin lining the corridors. And can you roll a perception check for me, please?
Done.
Okay. On a 12, you think for a moment. You see one of the doors at the far end close. Almost as if a shadow had closed it. You don't see the hand, you don't see what does it, but the door closes.
With my incredible speed, I will just beeline for that door.
Okay. Are you doing it stealthily or are you going?
I think I'm just poof. Part of it is Joanna's not very subtle, and I'm hoping that also may jar anything around me into revealing itself.
Okay. You head towards the door. It is closed. And I will say on the other perception check, you can hear a bit of a scuttling. As if something is moving in there. And it doesn't sound like one thing is moving in there, it sounds like multiple things.
Does it sound like panic scuttling, like somebody's rummaging, hiding, or grabbing hold of something? Or is it more subtle, like somebody may be getting into position in the event that I enter?
Roll an insight for me, please. On an insight, it doesn't seem panicked. It doesn't sound like formation. It sounds like someone might be looking in here and just moving things around, pulling things out. But it's not really identifiable. This is a bizarre sound. In fact, this is one where you're listening to the scuttling at first with your ear pressed against the door. And you hear a few clicks.
I'm not going to burst in, but I will just open the door.
Okay. we're going to jump over to Basalt. So what are you doing, Basalt, as you try to... What are you trying to identify in particular?
Okay, so let's see. I'm no longer muted. So I'd look this up, and what I would have to do is find a object of a particular kind. I can't, I don't know what the book looks like, so I can't do anything more than that. Do you think that saying a journal is sufficient, or is it more likely to give me a book?
I would say a journal's sufficient. I would say that is something that is definitely something that is different from a book because it has handwritten in specifically in certain personal notes and things put into it.
Okay,
So
that's very generous of you. Thank you.
What's the range on locate object?
What is the range on locate object? It is 1,000 feet.
Okay. Well, I don't know how big the manor house is. Might be a little bit bigger than that. If we could narrow down the search, I could lead maybe to the library, start there and see if that pings anything. And that feels at least logical.
I'm happy to follow your suggestion.
Well, then I will, assuming we'll discuss this with Basalt, just discuss, well, if we are looking for a journal, and if that's something you can find magically, then go to the epicenter of books in general and just see if we can't find ourselves the library of this house. And then I will try to lead him to the library if I can logic that out.
okay. I'd say you know where the library is. You also would have a general idea of where other important books were kept, like documents rather than that. And I will say with both Basalt's identify object, you sort of start to lead towards the door where you saw Joanna.
Okay.
You, she doesn't seem to be, they don't seem to be there anymore. The door is slightly open into that corridor, but there's no guards here or anything like that.
Okay. I think we'll probably go down and see where we're being led as far as what room. And we're, of course, not aware that Joanna's there, so we'll just probably head in kind of heedless.
Yeah. You open the door, you notice that at the far end on the left is the main library, and on the right is more private documents that are held, and there's normally a ward on the door. You will have seen this room, not necessarily been in it, but almost like a glyph that would appear on the door. And there seems to be someone, this Joanna character, reaching for the door handle.
Excuse me. Sorry, I should warn you. Typically, not only is that door locked, but I'm sure there's something nasty it's going to do to you if you try to open it.
And Joanna, I will say you can see this door is already slightly open.
I will drop the handle and try to jump back if I can.
Oh yeah, you can jump back. The door doesn't seem to do anything. It's as if it's slightly ajar. Something is already opened up. You can definitely move back. A warning of a glyph is probably something you don't want to... If it was locked, you wouldn't want to touch.
I appreciate the warning. I heard some scuttling and figured I'd investigate myself.
Oh, behind this door.
I'll do kind of a sweeping gesture like, after you.
I will approach the door and see if I can see that it's open. I might kind of just gingerly push it back if I think that it's not locked or glyphed or anymore.
You can open the door.
All right. Then I will open it and I will step inside and I will give the room a once over to see if I can see what is going on.
I will say it is dark in here. It is very, very dark in here. It's more that just lights aren't on, not anything particularly different, but you two can hear that scuttling, and you definitely notice that it is coming from the back of the room, and it seems to be moving high up, not lower down.
I will. I'll pull out the. If I still have my glass, like my drink glass, I will pull that out and I will cast light on it, and I'm going to hold it up and kind of point it where I think the sound is coming from.
Okay. You cast up this light, and as you do, there is this creature that looks back at you, sort of almost crouched up in the corner of these bookcases. It's almost, at first it looks humanoid, but then you see these long pointed ears, almost as if the entire creature is made up of tendrils, these shoulders, this bare sort of chest and long muscular arms, these huge claws. There are no legs, just flowing rags on this creature as it moves and glides. Sort of, you can hear that and it's dragging its nails along these books as if it's searching for something. And as you cast this light, it throws its head towards you and it lunges forwards, and you see there are no eyes on this creature. They're just deep sockets, these large mouths with these teeth, and this long, almost snake-like tongue. And I need the three of you to roll initiative, please.
I appreciate the part where you started out real light and then it got worse as you went on.
I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that in the best
good.
possible way.
Okay.
I know.
Yes.
That's just awesome initiative. So good. Just this is me slowly just pushing Joanna in front of me between me and you go first.
Okay. And I'm going to roll for the creature. Okay. So as this thing, you sort of take this thing by surprise. And at that moment, it sort of rears round and you can see it as you hold this light almost up to your face, Lons, as this creature zooms straight in towards you, and you can smell this foul, foul smell, but it's almost a mixture of musty and just rotten fruit and meat, and you can hear that clatter of claws and that sort of that whip of the tongue as it lashes out towards you. You see these two tentacles sort of detach from its back, come up and slam itself into you, trying to send you into the bookcase at the side. So let's roll. $18.
Armor classes. Yes.
Yep. Okay, so it slashes out towards you. Please take 6 damage. And what I will say is, Basalt and Joanna, you see Lons fly across this room. The light falls from his hand. You hear that clank as the bottle rolls, and it bursts with light. Not quite revealing the whole room as this creature tries to stay back to the shadows. But Lons, you feel yourself hit the back of this bookcase as it almost knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah.
Joanna, it is your turn.
How close is this creature to us now?
It's definitely crouched down lower. It's probably, I'd say, about 10 feet towards you. It's much lower down, but it is poised on the bookcases.
I'm always eager to vanquish a new foe, so I think I'll throw caution to the wind and go for a good old quick jab, just to test it.
Roll for me. Yep, that's a hit.
All right. You know what? Should I roll my other attacks or roll the damage for this first?
Roll the damage for this first, please. You
Do I
just
just click on where it says damage
unarmed.
type?
Where it says an unarmed, well, the roll you've done there, and it will roll it for you.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So you sort of throw. Well, describe for me, how are you attacking this thing?
I think given that it's crouched low and I am fairly tall, I think I want to get rid of that height advantage. So I might just go up and give it a good high axe kick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bring your heel down and it sort of crashes into one of its shoulders as you knock it down to the floor. You can leave your heel there for a moment, and as you do, it rears its head up and you see it stretch, almost as if its neck becomes part of the tentacles, and it hisses towards you. Lons, it is your turn.
I will try to get my breath back, and then I see this creature is a thing of darkness, and the first thing I think is just sacred flame it.
Go for it.
All right. So assume I'm in range, and then so he needs a dexterity save.
And also, is that everyone else in here as well? Anyone else in the 60-foot range?
It just says a creature that I can see within range.
Creature.
I'd assume
let's
that
do
it's
that. Sorry, what was that? A what save?
a dexterity saving throw.
Definitely not.
Okay. Then he.
Yeah, describe how this looks as Lons is staggering to get back up from this bookcase.
So I am take the hit and get up and just raise my hand and just look at this thing and think, this is, I don't know what it is, but it smells like death, and it just hit me very hard. And I imagine it burning. 1d8 radiant damage.
So, yeah.
I didn't type that correctly, of course. There we go.
Perfect. You sort of, is this like you throw your arms out as you get back up and this flame just starts to engulf the room, or?
I think it's more I'm holding my arm up and looking at this thing, and I'm just imagining a ring of fire just kind of circling around and then clenching tight, and then.
And as you do, it's almost like that image in your head starts to revolve around this creature. And Joanna, as you look down and you see it snarl up at you, you see it, this flame for a moment engulf this creature, and it screams, recoiling backwards. Basalt, it is your turn.
Okay, give me one second here. I can't do two things at one time. Okay, so, yep. So Basil looks around, right, so not one of Fialin's then. And with that, he is going to firebolt the creature, because, I mean, if it gets set on fire in the Precious Records room, I mean...
I could go wrong.
That's about how well I planned this out. So, hey, here is a firebolt. Hey, that's a critical firebolt.
Yes.
Ooh,
Noise.
nice.
So, do I get to, like, double spells? Does that double?
I think it does it automatically.
I don't think it
Is
did.
it not? It doesn't look like it does, no.
But in my mind, it's very impressive.
Yeah. What does it look like as Basalt is there rolling his sleeves up? Like, does he put his cane down, or does he, like, what does he do?
Well, he's got to kind of shift hands, because if he puts it down, he's going to fall down as soon as this round ends. So he's just rolling it up, and this is a nice, suit jacket, and he hasn't ruined it just yet. And maybe take a little bit of aim, put the cane in the other hand, and boom, firebolt.
Yeah, you always get this gust of wind from that jacket. The same jacket, almost like Alessandro's, as this heat erupts from it and strikes this creature. And it is starting to hurl itself around, almost in a panic. It is shredding some of the books as it is pulling things off. There's a desk in the center of the room it is crashing into as it is burning, and you can smell this horrible putrid stench as these tentacles start lashing out wildly. And it attacks. And it lashes out towards Joanna. This is the closest. Does a 14 hit?
A 14, it does not.
It does not. Yeah, you sort of, these tentacles are almost like a wild sort of dash now. You can sort of bob and weave as they come crashing down. One of them comes smashing through the desk. cutting it in half, and you sort of look at it, realizing how narrow a miss that was as it crashes right beside you. It is your turn, Joanna, as this tentacle comes down, smashing through the desk.
Seeing that this thing of shadow and tentacle is not a fan of radiance nor fire, I will hit it with one of my radiant sunbolts as soon as I see where that is.
And I will say to the rest of you at this moment, ooh, another nat 20. Okay.
Ooh, nice.
You can see that the flames falling off of this creature is starting to catch around the floor. Ooh. Perfect. And this creature is looking damaged now as this sunbolt sort of just comes crashing out of Joanna's palm, knocking it flying past you, Basil, and past you, Lons, crashing itself into the bookcase as one of the bookcases comes tumbling down and setting on fire. It is Lons' turn.
Well, I see this thing thrashing all over the place and setting things on fire, and I feel like it's probably not a good thing. So I'm going to try command on it.
Okay.
I'm going to just excuse me. Just look at this creature, and I'm just going to say very strongly, "Stay," and just try to keep it right where it is.
Okay, what is your wisdom? I've got the word for it.
Spell save DC is
That's it.
13, and it is a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom save. +2. On a 4, you sort of yell at this and you're like, "Stay!" as it's sort of poised at the back of this room, and it looks at you and it doesn't move. But you see this huge heaving, like chest breathing, this huge rib cage almost of tentacles that is going in and out as it looks at you, almost with intrigue now as it tips its head to the side, and it is in flames. The smoke is engulfing this room. It doesn't move. Basalt, what would you like to do?
Right.
This thing looks injured, and you have also just seen a cleric tell it to stay.
So I can control flames as one of my spells, and I would like to make there be less flame.
Okay.
Maybe
I
just
would like
right
to do
around the
less
creature.
flame.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, I'm only allowed to affect a 5-foot cube at a time, but I would like that to be as many of the things on fire as possible.
You can sort of like almost as if it was imagery, sort of as if you're picking it up with your hands and throwing it towards the creature, or is there another way that Basil would do this?
Actually, he's going to pick it up and just like pull it towards him and just swallow it.
Yeah, as you sit there. Longe, you've sat there and you're just watching Basil, isn't actually looking at the creature, but sat here consuming these almost like these glowing fireballs as he starts consuming them. You see a soft glow go down his throat and chest before it sort of disappears again, but it slowly calms down. And this thing can't move at the moment, but you can see it as if it does look to be preparing something. You can see the tentacles start growing out of its back and start latching on to the bookcases, almost as if it's grounding itself like a tree. Which means it's back to Joanna's go.
Is the creature still on fire?
Oh, yes. Basil is at the side eating fire, so it's not... Yeah, the creature is still on fire. He's saving the books.
I don't know that I want to get scorched punching it, so I might have to go for another radiant bolt here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's a hit. Yeah, you fire out at this creature, and it's a blinding white light as it strikes, and you see it take this sort of hit in the chest, and some of those tentacles reduce. And as it hits, a lot of the bookcases start to shudder, and the books start falling off of all of these shelves, sort of starting to pile up around the room. Lons, it is your turn. This creature, I will say, looks very badly hurt, but it does look like it's building to something.
Okay, I know command lasts 1 round, so that's going to run out, and I will. Radiant seems to be doing something, so I will Sacred Flame it once more. And
As Basil eats faster.
You didn't fill up at the buffet? Okay.
Go to move.
So,
Oh. Is the 13 pass?
that is my spell save DC.
Meets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you do send off this radiant sort of at the moment, but as it does, you notice the creature gets hit by it, and the arms and the head and the neck, they drop, almost as if it's now like a puppet. But the tentacles still move, and they start reaching out, and then the head, almost like a snake, starts to rear around and stretch taller and taller, growing this creature to around 8 foot tall. Basil, it is your turn as you sit there and nom on fire.
Well, I dislike this creature and all of the ways that it does things, just so we know, but I am going to do another firebolt because it seems like that's about that time, and anything else I do is going to destroy this library. So, with that, firebolt.
Yeah, meets it beats.
Hey, all right.
How would you like to destroy this creature as it is starting to rear up?
Very
carefully.
I'm trying not. I just ate all that fire. I'm full. I don't want to eat more fire right now. Yeah, so Basil, having just eaten all this fire, still has a little bit on his hand and says, fine, if this is how it has to be, and then throws another firebolt at it and hopefully catches it like right in its big snaky neck face.
Yeah, you get the snaky neck face, and it's almost like when it, like in the old films when the gunpowder streaks go off, you can see the flames going up the tentacles as it slowly burns this creature out. You can hear it screeching as it tries, as if it's like trying to claw away, and you see it sort of fry and crackle, almost becoming like coal and burnt out wood as its neck reaches up the top, its mouth wide open, these huge teeth, as it looks as if it was about to screech, and it freezes in place and burns like the embers of a tree. We are going to hop over to Cinnamon. And Cinnamon, you are being, you can see Ophelia sort of walking you down this set of stairs. You can see down at the bottom there, you can definitely smell what seems to be like wine and fermenting and things like that as you go down. Could you roll me a perception check, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Still rolling horribly. Okay.
You walk down these steps, and these are very cold stone steps, almost like as if you're going down into a wine cellar. And as you step down, you walk past 2 pillars at the front of the door. Both engraved onto these pillars is a crow on each. And as you walk past them, Ophelia opens the door. There is a desk in this room, and there is someone sat behind it. It's Ophelia. As the door closes behind you, and the person who closes this door starts to change and shift, as a changeling looks towards you and bows to this person behind the desk. And Ophelia looks at you. Why are you looking for the journal? And you
How do you know about that? Oh.
You see her push a journal forward on the desk, hand on top,
How do you know about that?
How do you know about that?
Well, I was told by an old woman that it will help her restore balance.
There's a slight tilt of the head. Your old woman tells lies. And she stands. You see, I was told it would bring balance. And I need to decipher this. But how many of you are there here?
Just 2.
And again, her sort of red hair flops to one side. And the changeling stood by the door, you see in their original form, which is almost see-through. These very piercing white blue eyes, this white hair, white, almost see-through skin as they stand in this place. And Ophelia looks to you. You see, I'm trying to find this place for someone who asked me to find it for them.
And who was that?
And she smiles for a moment. The true ruler of these worlds should not be the dragon-marked houses. We're but the servants of the Scratticus. Would you like to join us?
I don't know what that means.
Would you like to roll a history check on Scratticus?
No, I would. A 2.
You don't know anything about Scratticus. And you see Ophelia look at you. We are the House of Shadows, we are the House of Fialin. It is best to be on our side. And when we know what side we need to be on, it would be good for you to listen. Now, are you siding with my mother? Or are you siding with me?
I don't suppose I have much of a choice.
She chuckles slightly. No. The powers of Scratticus are beyond this world. It's something you'll learn soon. And she holds out her hand as offering it to you.
I'll take it.
And as you do, could you roll a constitution check for me, please? A save?
A save? Oh boy. Okay.
You feel her hold your hand, and then you realize she's holding it hard, as if holding it in place. And there is a moment where you can see what looks like smoke rising from your hand. You can feel a burning sensation as this, almost like it feels hot. This feels like red hot iron, as if someone had just pressed metal into your hand. And on a 10, you sort of become very hazy. And you feel disorientated, you feel nauseous. And there's a moment that sort of goes over you. If you could take 4 damage, please. And you fall back to the ground, almost stumbling over the chair as she walks around the desk. And in your hand, burnt like a brand, is the symbol of two crows, but it glows a heavy purple, almost like as it shimmers. It's almost how the dragon marks do. But this is a different kind of magic. But first it feels hot before it drops to just a freezing temperature, making your whole arm ache. And from behind the desk, from behind Ophelia, there is something else. Something else that starts to rise up out of the floor from the stone as this almost sort of purple shadow starts to rise up. And this is almost a person of smoke and a person of midnight robes as they just slowly rise up out of the floor. And there's a staff in one hand and a small purple orb that sits at the top. And it glows gold like those shards that you were shown. And there's a flash through your mind, and you see darkness and white eyes, these blue piercing things, your hand on fire, and you feel this person looking directly into you. And it's almost like your memories flash back. You flash tomorrow, you flash to the astral plane, you flash to Basalt, to being stood and watching the dances, being in awe and in wonder as everything flashes before you. And then you flash back to Moira on the astral plane. And you see her look up as if she's looking directly into your own eyes, confused. And shakes her head. Impossible. And everything goes dark. Basalt and Lons and Joanna. This room is basically no longer on fire. It is very much, you've got a very crispy thing sort of that is falling off of the bookcase now, sort of in bits. Almost as if it was like the remnants of a fire. There's not, it's almost like charcoal and things now, no longer any evidence of it being there. But could you all roll a perception check, please?
And I get to add a D4.
Okay. Lons, you're there and you're almost mesmerized by this creature you've never seen before, this horror in front of you. But Basalt and Joanna, you feel like the temperature drops. And as you breathe out, you see your breath fog on the air. You see ice creep in the corners. You feel your stomachs drop as if you've just been dropped from a great height. And you start to hear a commotion upstairs.
Right. I'm not fond of the cold. Were you here to steal something in particular? Because I am.
I was here to relieve the wealthy of their coin. Sounds like you've dragged me into something a lot deeper than I intended to get into.
I think you were in this room first, and if there's anything you see that appeals to you, take it now, because I have a feeling there's something worse happening upstairs.
Could I look for something shiny?
Yeah, roll a perception check for me.
Do I see
can I
anything
go
shiny?
real quick and see if I can find anything journal-shaped in the various piles of books?
Yeah, roll me a perception check as well.
All right.
I have forgotten about the journal, and I
Even
am also
worse.
looking for shiny things.
Even worse. Okay, I can't see for squat.
Not necessarily, because this is a list.
Ah,
Not
nice.
anything else.
A battle is its own reward, but I can get something extra.
I will say that there's the irony of this is, Basalt, you're looking around and you can see this debris. You can see where the bookcase has fallen. It's also trinkets of like a collector's thing. Every single one is labeled. Every single one has, like, it's written carefully as if it's kept very well. And you can see this, these huge goggles. And these are over the top. These are like huge to sit on your face. And there's a moment where you look at them, and the irony that you got this one. The lenses are gold, solid gold, but they are completely see-through. And I will say now that you, every time you wear these goggles, you can add a d4 to any of your wisdom checks, as it is the finder's goggles of your house. Literally here on the list. And yeah, it you can also identify the aura of the last creature that touched an object through these goggles if you pass a check of 13, DC 13, on another wisdom or insight check. And these are huge, like they look ridiculous. This isn't like a fancy pair of glasses. This is huge, almost like Coke bottle glasses on with a big strap, like a belt that you have to fasten around the side. And you can see that there's other lenses that slot down. I'm thinking the Jurassic Park original ones where they go down on your head and you can see them whir and sort of like light up. Lons, it's almost like you find something positive in the dark, like it starts to glow as it is knocked off of the shelf, this ever bright lantern, as it knocks over in the dark. It sends a blinding light across the room, and it gives you 120-foot cone of light in any dark space. And Joanna, you find on this thing this cooling stone, and you recognize that you've seen these sorts of things before. They're very expensive, but it is a stone, almost like a crystal, a rose quartz crystal, which you can send messages to whoever has the other one on the other side. And I will say, as you put your hand towards it, there's someone talking back.
I will bring it closer to Basalt, since he seems to know about these arcane sort of tricks, and just kind of put my finger up to let everybody know, like, you know, you're on voiceover. Loudspeaker, sorry.
You hear these whispers, this voice that is sort of trying to break through. And it's, after a while, it is kind of a voice, but it's mixed with snarls and growls. And you see a small image in this stone where it sits amongst a pile of gold.
I suppose when you find the other stone, that'll be worthwhile.
If we're done here, it sounds like there's something else going on, and I suggest we should probably find your friend. Especially since the rubbish we've made, we might not be able to stay at this party too longer.
Quite. Let's go in that direction, and that reminds me, that's a very good point. Hello, Cinnamon. Can you hear me over this thing that I forgot that we have?
I forgot we had this too. Am I awake?
Cinnamon is out, and I will say, Basil, this thing allows you to know that Cinnamon is not conscious to take your phone call right now.
This is rather bad. Okay. I can't Hunter's mark her unless I can see her, right? That doesn't work.
What we did, we were in the hall when we saw her and Ophelia leave, weren't we?
Oh yes, you saw them both leave. It wasn't like a secret thing. You saw them both leave.
Well,
Yeah,
I did see her. Sounds like we should follow where they went and see if we can find her there.
Let's do that. Alice, if I cast locate animals or plants, how, like, would we qualify?
So when you say
a
wood
person
elf,
with a beast?
it's like, is that where you're going with this?
That's
Well,
not,
you know,
that's not
fine.
stereotype.
Literally.
I mean, you are looking for cinnamon.
This is true.
well, fine. We'll just go find the old-fashioned way.
I was gonna say, I don't think you can cast that. So you all heading back upstairs?
Yes.
Okay. All three of you can rush upstairs, and you can hear screams. You can hear commotion. This sounds like the music has completely stopped. There is smashing of glass and crashing going on, and you can look. Are you bursting through the door, or are you just looking?
I feel like I would burst through the door if there's something wrong. We just fought whatever sort of shadow puppet thing. Let's get in there and let's just figure out what's going on.
Okay. And what about Joanna and Basil? Would they just go storming in as well?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
If someone else is already storming in, there's no reason not to.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
Storm.
Joanna's the fastest of the three, so I may just like Bruce Lee flying kick through the door.
I'm probably following Joanna out there.
Yeah. Yeah, you sort of all crash through this door, sort of throw it off on its hinges. There's black smoke, I want to say, coming, like, erupting from behind you as well. There is ice sort of, like, creeping across the floor in front of you on this marble ballroom. You see some people are on the floor. You see guards that are bleeding out on this dance floor and by the doors. And you can see Ophelia stand there very proudly. And Cinnamon, I'll say you start to come around at this point. You feel very dazed. You feel very, very out of it. And you sort of look down at the ground and you realize you're moving because you're being dragged across this marble floor, face down. Like, you're above the ground. You're not like going across like that. It's like you are being held above, and you can feel these long fingers holding on to you as it drags. You can see Ophelia in front of you. You see Lady Fialin braced with these purple black shadows wrapped around her arms, restraining her, and she is not happy. You can see, I'll say, sort of in your hazy sort of daze, your head lolls over to the side, and you and Basalt can lock eyes and spot each other across the hallroom. And Basalt, you will see this thing drop, Cinnamon, and all of you see this huge creature, this almost purple cloaked, both in robes and mist, and these piercing blue eyes that stand as this thing is maybe about 7 foot tall. No feet, you don't see any feet. It's almost like this fog that erupts around there, where they should be standing, the staff in their hand, this orb sat at the top. And it looks towards Lady Fialin, and you notice what looked like at first shadows being cast by lamps, by tables, by chandeliers start to stand upright and move towards people in this room, seizing them. What would you like to do?
Well, I got the Everbright lantern from the study. I see shadows. I see this shadow creature. I am just going to point that directly at it. 120-foot cone is clear on that thing as I can get.
Okay. As you point it directly at this main thing, which is now currently sort of as if it's risen up out of the dance floor, it turns and looks directly at you as you shine this light on it. And in a way, it sort of doesn't cast its own shadow. The light seems to pass through it but get lost. It's like a black hole. And could you roll me a history check, please, to see if you recognize?
Proficient. There we go.
Okay. As you look at this creature, these eyes sort of pierce, and it's like they look into you. You have heard of Sol Katesh, but Sol Katesh isn't real. There's no way that this is possible for this being to actually exist. This lich that has risen out of the ground is to be nothing but the stories that are told to children to make sure they behave themselves, that the darkness will come and the Shadow Realm will no longer be the Shadow Realm, but it will merge with what we know as the world. And you, as you look into these eyes, you hear singing. And for a moment it feels very charming and whimsical. And all at once you are just filled with dread.
Well, normally years I never thought I'd meet the boogeyman. Today for first. If no one else is going to, I'm just going to fire at this thing and just, Sacred Flame once more.
Roll a Sacred Flame for me.
He needs to roll a Dexterity saving throw.
Okay. Where is the dex?
Oh, yeah, that succeeds.
As you throw this towards this creature, a hand goes out and everything just, it's like time freezes around it. And it holds this flame in the air and looks at it. And there's a second when one of the stories you heard when you were a child, she is known as the Queen of Shadows. She embodies the fears and superstitions surrounding all forms of magic. And she is, I can't even say it, malevolent. She is the dealer of curses and magical powers. She is known for being deeper than the darkness itself. And some call her the Rage of War. And as you do, she throws this sacred flame onto the floor, and the whole ballroom floor, even though marble, lights up. And she starts to walk towards Lady Fialin. And you can hear her yelling and sort of screaming, not in pain, out in anger, as she reaches forward, and the hand seems to grow as it latches around Lady Fialin's shoulders, waist, and starts to just pulls her into the marble, into the floor. And her and this lich start to disappear. And the shadows start to leak as if they melt into the floor. I need you all to make a dex save for me, please, to not get dragged with them.
Good. A dex save.
Decent.
Alice, I am going to have to burn an advantage on this.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
I still stand by that.
It's an advantage though, so
Right.
first of all, I will say that Lons and Joanna, you feel like your feet, you think you're slipping for a moment, you realize these shadows are wrapping themselves around your legs, pulling you down with them as if they're dragging you towards this floor of flame. However, Basalt, you see these hands come up as if they're trying to engulf you fully. Over your shoulders, round your legs, round your waist, you can feel like your feet are sinking into this marble, as if you're starting to disappear, just how Lady Fialin did. And Cinnamon, you can see this across the way as these things drag him under.
Can I jump up, run over? So I'm gonna jump up, run over, and I'm gonna use whatever I have on me that is the longest to kind of have him hold on to it to drag him back. Maybe a piece of rope.
You can definitely take like a sash off of your dress as well.
Oh yeah, yes, and throw it to him.
Yeah, you sort of throw it, and Basalt, you see this thing. You feel like you're being pulled by this, and Cinnamon throws you this sash. You are able to grab hold of it.
Do that.
Okay. Joanna and Longe, you can feel yourself being dragged. Oh, Joanna, you said you burnt your advantage, didn't you?
Yes, sorry, I didn't realize it was muted.
That's all right. You can feel this thing pulling you, but you sort of jump onto higher ground. And you can see them sort of swiping and lashing out. You can see people, all of these guests, disappearing beneath the marble. And some of them, you notice as their hands start to go beneath, they just stop halfway and freeze, as if they're marble themselves, slowly becoming statues. The bits of them that don't fully get dragged under, you can see some faces in the floors as they sort of reach out as if they're yelling for help. How are you getting away, Joanna? Are you leaving the building? What are you doing?
I think I'm just gonna get to higher ground for now. I'm definitely not one from backing away from a fight, even if it's with a boogeyman.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lons, you are being dragged towards the floor. You see people all around you disappearing beneath this. Is there anything you'd like to do?
And I take the Featherfall coin out and desperately see if I can activate and see if that is going to have an effect on this.
You can make a run towards one of the windows and things like that if you want to fight off and try and dive.
Okay.
In that sense, I'll let you make either roll me an athletics or acrobatics and then a sleight of hand, please.
Okay. Athletics. And then sleight of hand.
Okay, these shadows are gripping at you as you are trying to get away. You're sort of pulling yourself along as you can feel them. You actually feel your toe dip beneath this marble and it feels icy cold. It's almost like quicksand as you can feel yourself. You've almost spread yourself out and you head out to one of the balconies and pulling that coin out. As you do, on this balcony is a solid marble statue of this orc. This one with flowing robes, sort of screeching out into the night, frozen completely. Two crows sat on her shoulder. As you roll off that balcony, and you grasp that coin tightly in your hand like she told you to, and you drift. Basalt and Cinnamon. Basalt, you're up to your waist in this, as it's starting to drag you down. What would you both like to do?
I am going to tie the sash to my waist, and I'm going to attempt to drag Basalt out. by climbing up on whatever is closest to me. And I have something called second story work, where climbing no longer costs me extra movement.
Okay.
And when I make a running jump, the distance you cover increases by 3 feet.
Awesome. Okay. Basil, are you doing anything as this is happening? You can see Cinnamon running towards you. She's tying herself to this this sash, keeping hold of you, sort of really trying to pull you back.
Yeah, I'm using mold earth on the marble below me, and I'm pushing myself up with the spell.
Yeah. You. What does this look like? Describe what it looks like as Cinnamon is pulling you.
Oh yeah, so she's pulling me, and I'm holding on real tight with one hand and earth bending with the other hand, and just like making blocks of marble like kind of chunk up beneath me and just keep myself off the ground.
Yeah. You can see these sort of shadowy hands that had already started to disappear, trying to reach for you. As you start building and building, almost like these columns, and you get higher and higher than the ground as you sort of give yourself a bit of level and height. And Cinnamon, as much as you were pulling, you definitely pulled Basil up. Now you can feel yourself half being dragged up as this ground gets higher, and you stand there in this almost marble graveyard of dragon marked houses. Not everyone was here, but Lady Fialin is gone. Ophelia is gone. And those who didn't leave are now these marble statues, whether they're half in the ground, fully out of the ground. And you stand there. Joanna, you can observe all of this as well. You watch Lons make his escape. But Cinnamon, that moment you look down and you realize how sore your hand is as it burns with that symbol. And there is ice on your fingertips as you and Basil stand away from this quicksand. And I think that is where we will leave it this week. So, huzzah! Right, let's go round. Let's change the music first. I feel
So on edge.
just a little on edge. Let's change
Just a
that
tad.
out a little bit. Let's change that out a little bit. And let's go back to the astral plane, shall we? So we'll go round. Everyone, again, say where we can find you on the interwebs, what you do, and all those wonderful, wonderful things. And also, we would love to hear your favourite part as well. And we will go in reverse order this time. So we are actually going to start with the wonderful Faye, or Cinnamon. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. My name is Faye. You can find me on Twitter at Captain Faye Guy. My favorite part is where I think I involuntarily joined a cult. I don't know if I wanted to drink the Kool-Aid, but the Kool-Aid has been drunk. So yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. When you accidentally join a cult, when you're 16
Like you do.
and it's just your first prom and
Your
everything.
first prom.
Yeah,
You think you like find a friend, and then she makes you join her cult. WTF?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then we're going to hop down to our wonderful Joanna for this evening. Oh, hi.
Hey everyone, I'm Velvet. You can find me on the interwebs at OG Brown Sugar, as well as on the Stories of a Broken Sun and Flight Risk podcasts. My favorite part, I have to go with the accidentally joining a cult idea. Anytime I've joined one in games, it has always been purposeful, so it's nice to see it accidental.
Accidental cult joining. That's what we're here for on Wednesday nights. Wonderful, thank you. Then we're going to hop over to our wonderful cleric, Lons. Oh, hi.
Hi, I am Douglas. You can find me on most social media at Douglas, either _Among Us or just Douglas Among Us. And I'm also on Archive of Our Own under Douglas Among Us. If you like my writing, I am a writer. And I think my favorite part was avoiding quicksand by jumping out a window. That feels peak D&D, solving one problem by creating another one. But it was just generally enjoyable experience.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Wonderful. And last but certainly not least, the very lovely Hans. Oh, hi.
Yes, hello, thank you. I will be here next week, so everybody can check and just see what Alice does to us next week. I enjoyed the unusual fruits because that was the only part of the party we got to enjoy before we were attacked.
And join
Um,
cults.
And,
Yes.
well, only
yes,
one of us joined a cult. Let's be fair.
That's on you, Faye.
I mean, honestly, it's yet or so far. I mean,
yeah.
really, but
We
Always
did not
next week.
listen, and we went to a secondary location, which is rule number 1. Never do.
I mean, we could have all just joined the cult together. That's really our bad.
Mhm.
Yep. So, yeah, in terms of things I enjoyed all the players. I'm really enjoying playing with Faye, and then I'm enjoying both our cleric and our monk today as being excellent people to get into a fight in a document room with. That was
Yeah.
very good. Thank you. And Alice has a Patreon, which everybody should check out. And there's a good post that Scrat did. And hey, ta-da-da-da.
Thank you, because I'm awful and I always forget my stuff. But yes, I am White Rabbit Pick. You can find me on Twitter. There's my links over there. I do have a Patreon. Hans always remembers for me. Also, my favorite bit was a mixture of the fruits, the talking to the dwarf, trying to get in. Lons just following the newbies around, going, "What the hell are they doing?" as they sort of walk around and do things. And the image of Basalt just consuming fire to save the books. That's a thing for me. I like that. Otherwise, please check out all the links coming up in chat now. That includes our Discord. We have a channel just for this game. We would love to hear what you think, and maybe if you have any theories, because yay, a lich. Never done a lich before. This is going to be fun. Also, if you want to get into this game or any of our other viewer games, please head over to Twitter and DM Scrat, and we will get you on the list and we will get you in a game. If you miss out on anything, you can head over to YouTube, and all of our games are in playlists where you can catch up, as well as ones from previous seasons. As Fake Eyes just says, yes, come and join our Eberron cult. It's really easy. And you get a little badge of honor. Otherwise, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Hero Forge. We'll be seeing some more stuff from them very soon, which I'm very excited about. And also the wonderful Mage Hand Press with Dark Matter and the Fae Folio, and last but certainly not least, the Deck of Many, with the Deck of Many Things. And Humblewood, which is far more wholesome than what you saw this evening. So definitely head over there if you want to be a very cute, fluffy owl in armor, or a mouse, or a fox. It's wonderful. Otherwise, keep evoking emotions, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
So, hey everyone. I see a channel live right now. They are a smaller channel by the looks of it. Looks like they only just got started recently, and I think we should go and grace them with a wonderful raid. They have a follower goal that is 3 short of its target, and I'm pretty sure we can hit that together, okay? They have a sub goal that is 8 away from its target. I think we've got a good chance of that one as well, if maybe we get a hype train going when we go there. They've also got an operating costs goal. Now, their goal is 200, but there's currently none towards it. So I think we can at least get them started, shall we? Let's take the love. We're going to go over to Do Respite, and you may recognize from the... you may recognize Chantel from our Tuesday game. Let's go! I want to see them raid cries raiding. I want to see the torches lit. I want to see all of the things. Ah, let's do this.